You better get your studs in.
All right, all right, all right. Answers by guess. What up there, guess?
Hey,
Live Q&A on a nice Sunday morning right before the games. I'm excited. Week 3. What do you mean
yeah,
get your studs in? I hope you can elaborate, or should we say watch those recorded videos?
yeah. Watch the recorded videos. Talked about it. It felt like it became a recurring theme. Um, just kind of feeling like particular guys. I think Henry's going to have a day today. I think Eckler's going to have a day today. I think Delvin Cook's going to have a day today. A lot of wide receivers that didn't do much last week. They're going to have a day today. I just feel like it's getting to the point. We got out of the craziness just a little. Hopefully this week, and I'm sure this week will still be a little ridiculous. But these guys that you drafted early that you're a little bit worried about, I just have a feeling the matchups, where they're taking place, the defensive side of the ball, players that could be out. I just think that the guys that you're feeling a little worried about after today, you won't. And one thing to change for me, and this is why we had typically done the games Sunday morning before the questions and during the questions, because things can change and feelings can change. And I mentioned in the recorded shows that um, the Buffalo and Miami game, I felt like it was going to be a little bit underscoring, and I wasn't trusting too much. I said the two wide receivers for each team. I felt like the Bills were going to try and run the ball to keep the Dolphins off the field, and I still sort of feel everything I said, but I've got a bump in my bones for the Miami wideouts with that secondary in Buffalo with all the injuries that they have. So if you're at all nervous, because the Bills' defense is the best defense, they're not the best defense today. Because they got a lot of backups in there, four of them, I believe.
They do, yeah. I mean, Hyde being out for the year too. That's a big one, man. That is a big one. All right, remember, guys, like us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and Patreon. Just real quick to talk about YouTube. Answers by guests are all very, very common words used on YouTube. If you put quotations around them, you'll get to our page every single time. Thanks to Darko for pointing that out. Definitely make things easier. Remember, you could always look for those hashtags too: answers by guess and ABGFF. All right, let's start with some questions for the group. I'm going to keep on posting them, but
Yeah.
let's go with the first one here. Bear with me 1 second.
May I just say what up real quick to Alan, Derek, and Chris. Thanks for joining us, and anybody else
Hello,
that's here.
hello. Sorry about that. I didn't even realize those, Derek, as well. And yes, hi, Chris. All right, Darko with the first one. Dylan or Akers if Fournette does not play?
I have a feeling Fournette is going to go, but I got a feeling about Akers. I just think he's taking over that job. He was much more involved, actually out touched Henderson last week. I like Dylan. It is the Bucks defense. He's the best weapon for the job. Um, so it's not that I don't like Dylan. I just got a feeling about Akers, and that matchup just lends itself uh, to, I think, greater chances for a bigger play.
I'm going to agree with that one as well. Akers, we were high on in the videos we talked about Redemption Week. This could be the one, but Dylan makes more sense in that punching him in the mouth kind of attitude, like Guess was just saying. All right, Darko here. Would you play Curtis Samuel over any Bateman, Sutton, and Brandon Cooks? Real
Uh,
quick, Bateman is playing the
yeah,
Patriots.
Patriots.
Sutton is Sunday Night Football,
Yeah.
and Cooks is playing Chicago.
Yeah, listen, I love the double BB banger with Lamar and Bateman. And I love Sunday Night Magic with Sutton. They're saying Judy might play now. Still wouldn't play Judy, just in case. But I'm going to go with Brandon Cooks. I think against Chicago, And it's going to be a little windy there. So it's possible, that we already know the Bears want to try and run, but Cooks is a deep threat, but he's also could be a possession type guy with the short slants and that not. And I'm going to go with Brandon Cooks. But he wants it over Samuel. I would just, and you had mentioned something. I didn't see it because I was busy. I was at a 4-year-old's party, and then I went to a teacher's party. So I was at parties all day yesterday. And I saw that you had mentioned something about we didn't say anything about Samuel in our recorded videos in the Washington Philly game. But that's because I talked about him on Tuesday. I'm not a big, I never have been Samuel guy, but I mentioned him being a real answer, and he continues to get it done. So with that game, which could be very back and forth, I probably would just go with Samuel and just ride it until it falls off. So it would go Samuel, Cooks, Sutton, Bateman for me if I had to rank them.
I can see your ranking. Yeah, I was high on Samuel. For so long in Dynasty, I kept him and kept him and kept him, and of course he's starting to do well now. It's been quite some time though.
So you're the mush, right?
Yeah,
you have him on your team. You stink, so.
Yeah. It could be the reasoning. Chris R. with a question here. Since I sat Deontay, need help for 2 wide receivers and a flex for Sunday. His running backs are Cook, CMC, Sanders, Patterson, and Khalil Herbert. Wide receivers are Lockett, Garrett Wilson, Cooks, Michael Thomas, Curtis Samuel, and Keenan Allen.
All right. I'm going to definitely, I would hope your RBs are Cook and CMC or Cook and Sanders.
Sanders was in his flex spot starting.
So Cook is his running back.
Cook, CMC, and Sanders. Those were the 3 that he had in.
All right, so keep that. And as far as your wide receivers go, I really like Cooks. Michael Thomas. I might as well just go with Samuel and Cooks. I like Wilson. I think DK has a better game today than Lockett. Hold on, buddy. I think Olave is going to have a blow up. If it's not this week, it's next week. I still like Thomas. He was a real answer. I can't trust Keenan Allen, especially if it's a backup quarterback. So I'm just going to go with Cooks and Samuel. And it sort of falls right in line with my rankings with Darko's question.
Yeah, I can see that as well. I'd probably go the same thing. The only one I'm considering flexing would be, I love Garrett Wilson. I really think he could play well. I think Cincinnati, everyone's coming in on Cincinnati saying that they're going to win this game quickly, easily, and that very much could happen. Flacco likes Garrett Wilson. They realize that kid's talented. So that's more of a super risk and a high reward. But I think going with what Guest says is the way to go.
And listen, he would be my third choice. And I had said something to Chris, I think, earlier in the week. He showed his lineup, and I said, just start Wilson and Cooks was my exact response. It just so happens that I'm kind of, I'm just going to do Samuel and Cooks. Pick 2 out of 3. I think, and I told him, I said, I think you'll be fine no matter which 2 you play. And that included Deontay at the time. So Deontay already did well. So far we're 1 for 1.
All right. Corey, you actually answered this. Welcome, Corey. Alvin Kamara and a 14th round pick in next year's draft for Miles Sanders and a 2nd rounder. He has Kamara. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I told him, I said, you're a new member, so I'll give you a nice little benefit. And I told him welcome, and hopefully he's checking out the show today. I said, listen, this is a trade that I'm not going to make you wait until the show, because if all you have to do is click accept, I want you to do it immediately. And I think that Miles Sanders, so far we're seeing that he is the lead back. One of the things we always worry about in Philly is that they have so many running backs. But he is by far outplaying, outsnapping. He's getting goal line touches. I think, has the 3rd most goal line touches in the NFL at the moment. And that's really good, especially when your quarterback is a goal line rushing quarterback. So I think the difference between him and Kamara isn't as big as it is on paper. Kamara's had his injury history. He's 2 years older. This is a dynasty league. Kamara's going to be suspended next year, and you're getting a 12-round jump. So I said, this is a trade you do. The difference between Kamara's possible production this year and Sanders is minimal when you throw everything else into it.
I like it. I like it a lot. All right, Jeremy with the question here. I need a flex. Carter, Jacob, Stevenson, DK, Boyd, and Irv Smith. Carter is safe, but Irv may be a sneaky play. I was actually just talking to somebody about Irv. Let me know if you need any of the games, bud.
I'd probably go with DK here. I think Boyd has a good game. I like Irv today. I can't trust Jacobs to play. I know he did what I said that he probably was going to do, is travel with the team after, and he did. But I think Carter is losing it to Hall. I think this week it's going to be even more pronounced than it has been. I like Carter. We both do, Rob. They'll still use Carter, but I think that Hall is going to become the 60 to Carter's 40 at least. And I like Stevenson, but I think DK is going to have a game today. I think this is fall in line with what I think's happening. A couple weeks have gone by. I don't like Geno, but I do think that they're able to get him going today. And this is a spot where I'm fine playing a wide receiver over a running back. I like pretty much all the options except for the first two today, but I'm going to go with DK.
Yeah, that Atlanta secondary too, man, is not the greatest. So this should be a get-right game you would hope for Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Derek with the question here. Do I take a shot on Judy playing or start Akers?
Start Akers.
I agree with that one. Akers, redemption game, following the theme. All right, Spencer with the question. Should Bateman or Penny be in his lineup? PPR, please help, I'm torn. His starting running backs are Swift and Najee already played. His wide receivers are A.J. Brown, Marquise Brown, and Garrett Wilson. He is flexing Sutton, Dillon, and Cousins.
I think you just keep it.
I'm going to agree with that statement.
I would just keep it. I have Sutton slightly over Bateman. I would just keep it.
All right. Alan with the next question here. PPR, Gabe Davis, McLaurin, Lockett, Shepard, and Gallup. He's nervous if Davis is playing. I guess he had Davis in.
I'm not too nervous. I'd be a little more nervous, but you're going to have Xavier and Howard on Diggs. So it's going to open up things for Davis, but you worry about a re-injury when they were out for a week. But I wouldn't be too worried. But I think Shepard killing the Cowboys, and that gives you one last chance on Monday night. I really like McLaurin, but I think I'm going to go Shepard. Like McLaurin, just looking at it, I was like, just play McLaurin. If you're a little worried about Gabe Davis, I get it. But I see Shepard playing Monday night, always does well against the Cowboys. It's pretty much the only reliable option they have aside from Barkley. And so I'll just go Shepard.
All right. Let's go on to the next one here. Oh, this is the Allen segment. Allen with another one here. Carter, Brees, and Dillon, start one.
I do feel like Brees is going to take it over from Carter. But I'm going to go with Dillon in this one because if they get close, I think they give it to him to punch it in.
I agree. I think Dillon would be my choice on here as well. Remember, guys, to always comment, like, share. We really appreciate you. Continue to push us. Again, we're trying to get some more followers here. Next one here, Allen, Davis, Shepard, Robinson, start two.
Is that Allen Robinson? I'd imagine so. I'm going to go with Shep and Allen Robinson.
I'm going to agree with that one as well. Corey Davis banged up a little bit. All right, next one here. Keenan Allen, Brees, Carter, Dillon, Gallup, and Landry, start two.
I'll go with Dillon and Landry. I'm not trusting Allen coming back. Not trusting Gallup coming back. And the Brees Carter thing, I'd rather just let it play out on my bench. It is a tougher matchup today. I think the Bengals will get right. So I'm just going to go with Dillon and Landry. Landry had a down week last week. I think that they're going to be able to move the ball today. So I'm going to go with Dillon and Landry.
All right. Next one here. Stevenson, Palmer, Duvernay, Olave, and Ayuk need to start 2.
I'm starting Olave. Because I feel breakouts coming, like I said earlier. It's either this week or it's next week. A big game. He's getting the targets. Everybody knows that he's got the most air yards in the league. I'm not a huge air yards guy because to me that could be just the most ridiculous thing. I mean, you could hypothetically run down the field 50 yards. If the quarterback targets you and throws it to you, that's 50 yards. And the very next play, you can do the same thing. Well, now you got 100 air yards. And that's like almost as much as the top 10 in the league. Besides him, he's got almost 400. So I don't really pay attention to that stat, but he is getting the targets. I do feel breakouts coming. I do think he's the best wide receiver on the team. So I'm going to go with Olave. And the Duvernay thing, I don't know. Ayuk, it's between Ayuk and Stevenson. And I just like to have somebody on Sunday night. So I'm going to go with Olave and Ayuk.
Yeah, that's 2 of the 3 I was looking at. I'm actually probably going to go Olave and Stevenson. Stevenson's going to fit in that role if Baltimore gets up big, kind of dumping off from that perspective. I'm not sure. You could be that same type of role, though, technically, if they double up on Debo or Debo's running the ball since they're having so many running back situations. We'll see where it could go from there. But, I mean, I don't think you can go wrong with those 3.
Yeah.
All right, next one here. Juju, Pierce, Harris, Shepard, and Mike Williams. Start 1.
Man, I really like Sterling Shepard because he kills the Cowboys and it's a Monday night game, but I am going Dameon Pierce.
I think this is the breakout game, man.
Today's the day.
Yep. I agree with that wholeheartedly there, sir.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Dawn with the question here. Chargers or Dallas defense?
Dawn, or is it?
Ron.
What if her name is Hamilton?
Oh.
Hamilton Dawn.
Could be.
Either way, I'm going with the Dallas D. Like I said, I like Shepard, but it's Monday night. They got playmakers. Hopefully Parsons plays. I just can't trust the Chargers defense if I don't know. I love Eckler today. He's somebody who I think is going, because volume, and he's going to bust one against the Jags. But their defense, I'm just not trusting just in case. Because if it's Chase Daniel and the Jags defense, they've been playing above their mean. Get some short fields, or if it's even Herbert, and Herbert can't really throw the ball deep. So I'm going with Dallas here.
Yeah, I mean, that Monday night game could be like a 9-3 game technically.
Yeah, and even I like Monday nights too, because I feel like Sunday and Monday night, more than 50% of the time, there seems to be a defensive touchdown. Like there always seems to be a big play on defense. So I like that shot.
All right, Spencer with the question here. Another league PPR having to figure out running back position. Is Pierce possibly the best start I have? Zeke must be dust by now. 2 duds, and Penny, I feel, is about to lose his starting position.
Yeah. You play Pierce.
Pierce is your answer. All right, Josue with a question here. I asked this earlier this week, but now with Gabe Davis expected to play, would you flex him or would you play Jeff Wilson Jr.?
I'm just always worried about Wilson. I'm worried about Wilson getting hurt. I kind of like the matchup, but I'm going to go with Gabe Davis, I think, because they do have a couple other running backs. It's Jimmy G. They will use Debo in the role, same as last year, running the ball. Kind of like Ayuk gets volume. I think Denver wins this game. But I'm going to go with Gabe Davis because I do think Miami's going to be able to score points with the secondary of Buffalo being out, and Miami's not going to take their foot off the pedal. So I think at the very worst, Buffalo's playing catch up. And Gabe Davis, he had a week off. They wouldn't be playing him. They're Super Bowl bound. he wouldn't be playing him if he wasn't good to go. So I would probably go with Gabe.
All right. Alan and Rob T with this question: Everett or Irv Smith?
Everett, short throws, right? Whether it's the hurt Herbert or Chase Daniel, could be the safety blanket, especially with Keenan Allen sort of banged up. I do think Irv is set to bust out. Kind of feel like against Detroit. Um, like I said, Cook's going to have a nice game. I think it's going to be relatively high scoring. This is such a coin flip. I'd probably go with Everett because I think Thielen's going to score a touchdown today, and I think Justin Jefferson's going to come back to where he should be, and I think Dalvin Cook has a good game. So Irv just might be the odd man out. So I'm going to go with Everett.
It's so funny. I actually changed it from Everett to Irv Smith this morning, and my gut was saying, I think that should be the option. He had an opportunity of getting a 50-yard touchdown. He dropped it, but everything in my mind is telling me Everett. I know we usually say go with gut, but I don't know. My mind seems to be with Everett, especially if Chase Daniels is the one that's in there. So
it's a coin flip.
yeah. I mean, both good options. I mean, they're both on decent teams. So remember, guys, like, comment, share. We really appreciate you all. That is the questions I had from the group. Let's go into our live questions now. Let me see where I start with those.
David, right above.
Right above. Thielen, Noah Brown, Logan Thomas, sound PPR. What would be your flex pick?
Logan continues to be getting it done. I think Thielen scores a touchdown today. I'm not sure if he'll get a lot of catches. I'd probably the Commanders.
The Manders.
They got a lot of weapons. Eagles against the tight end. I want to go Logan Thomas, but I think Thielen scores a touchdown. I'm going to say Logan Thomas. It could be the wrong play, David. If you have a gut feeling about either one of those two, go with that. See what Rob says. It's not Noah Brown.
I like your Logan Thomas thinking. I think that he's going to be needed against a Philly team that they seem to be able to put up points. I think we mentioned in the videos, at least from my perspective, I think that's actually going to be a lot closer game than people are. So I think Logan Thomas is going to be needed more. All right, next one here. Alan with a question. Elliott or Pollard for Monday Night Football?
I'm going to go with Pollard. And, I mean, I don't think Elliott's going to have that bad of a game. It's the Giants. And I know you're a fan, Alan, but they're 2-0. They got two relatively lucky wins. But the defense has played okay, but they're still not that good. But I'm just going to go with Pollard because I think that you get a chance for a little more juice if he busts one. I don't think if Elliott busts one, that he'll be able to make it in, and Pollard will. So I'm just going to take that coin flip and roll with Pollard, PPR or half point. I think it's a better play.
All right, I'm kind of lagging here, so if you see me kind of not moving and figuring things out, I keep on getting my internet screen coming up. So, I'm sorry, it was dubs, not sound. Oh, that makes a lot more sense. I'm like, I don't know what sound PPR, but it sounds pretty interesting. Thielen, Noah Brown, Logan Thomas, or dubs. Now that Sammy Watkins is on IR, does that make a difference in your comments here?
Yeah, Watkins on IR and Watson isn't going to play. So it's crazy because I feel like Green Bay could go into this game saying, all right, we ran the ball, did whatever we wanted, didn't really throw last week because that's all we really had to do. And Tampa Bay is sort of hurt, and they got no wide receivers. I do think Scotty Miller is a sneaky play today. But you know, I think that I just want to beat the snot out of Brady and these Bucks. So let's just chuck it all around. So that could help with Romeo. But I think I would go safer and just stick with Logan Thomas.
I'm going to agree with you on that one. All right. That kid show in the background sounds so familiar. My little one has embedded it in my brain.
I'm sorry.
Hashtag
I'm sorry.
truth on that
Yeah,
one.
my 2-year-old wife and my 4-year-old are at church, so we gotta keep them occupied.
All right. Darko here from YouTube. I like it. Pick one wide receiver and one flex. DJ Moore, Drake London, Allen Robinson, Hines, Penny, Palmer, Shepard, Algier, and Burks.
Yeah,
All right. So DJ Moore is against the Saints.
Yep.
Drake London is in Seattle. Allen Robinson is playing the Cardinals. Hines is playing the Chiefs. Penny is playing, I just said the Atlanta Falcons. Palmer is against the Palmer is
The
against
Jags.
the Jags. We talked about that actually earlier. Shepard's Monday night, and Algier is against Seattle.
Burks.
I'm sorry, Burks. Last one is
Burks, too.
Against the Raiders.
Yeah, I kind of like the Burks play. I think that I really feel like Henry is going to have a day today. I think I'm going to go with London for sure. And then it's a coin flip between Shepard and Allen Robinson for me. I think Allen Robinson is a little riskier, but a bit of an easier matchup. But I think Shepard is safer and will get the volume. So if I had to pick one, I'm going to go Allen Robinson. But I think you should go London and Shepard. So I'm going to say London and Shepard.
I'm actually in the same situation between Drake London and Allen Robinson. Kirk is my main starter. So I want to go London. I really do.
I would.
Yeah,
He's
I
the
think
real answer.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm feeling London, and I think you're right. Shepard's just a volume play on a Monday night, and it gives you some Monday night magic. So
I mean, you really can't get much better setup than we have this week with that game being Monday night if you're a Sterling Shepard owner, because if you need 3 or 4 points, you're down, your opponent's got nobody, and you got Shepard sitting there, you're like, I think I got this, because I can easily see him getting 10 plus.
Fingers crossed he can make it through the game. That's always our biggest concern. Shepard has the talent. Can he make it through the game?
That's it.
All right, Michael, with a question here. With Evans, Godwin, and Jacoby Myers all out today, are there any Tampa Bay or New England wide receivers worth starting today? I picked up Rashad Perriman to replace Myers in the flex spot. Repeat it again.
Yeah, Scotty Miller, I think is the play. A lot of people are going nuts over Beasley. He's been on the team for like 5 days. Scotty Miller did pretty well last week. I think he had 3 catches for like 54 yards. Practiced all week, and Brady's got a relationship with him. I mean, he's been on the team for 3 years. He just can't crack the starting lineup because they always have the studs of old as their wide receivers. And when they get rid of one, they bring in another one, Antonio Brown, Julio Jones. So they can never. I think Scotty Miller is the sneakiest play of plays today, and not enough people are looking or thinking about him. He could be your possession guy. He could be a deep threat. So I think Scotty Miller already killed the Packers once in the playoffs 2 years ago. So I think that he's who you would be playing, Michael.
All right. Remember, comment, guys, like it, share it. We really appreciate you all. All right. Next one here. Marty, I asked this on Tuesday, but you asked to revisit today. Pick 3, CD, Hollywood Brown, Allen Robinson, Allen Lazard. Lazard's an interesting one now that there's the injuries on the Green Bay Packers.
I'm leaving Hollywood out. He disappoints me so much with drops. Dortch is doing his thing. Ertz. I think they realized last week when they let Kyler run around a little and do what he has to do that it's beneficial to them. So I think we see more of that. Connor and the 2 other backs. I know, but Hollywood is just, to me, he's the one trick. He could blow up today, but I'm going with the other 3.
The only reason I would consider Hollywood is because Ramsey got burned by Diggs. He outran him. He was faster than him. And what does Hollywood Brown do well? He outruns everybody. He can go get the ball, but can he catch it? I agree with you. I think those are my yeah. So I would go with those same three. Pay attention though to Hollywood Brown today and see if you see the same things that we're kind of talking about from that perspective. That's where you can kind of think about matchups as to where he could be able to burn that secondary. All right, Darko, with another one here. PPR and point per target. Very interesting concept. Scotty Miller, Alec Pierce, Ramondre Stevenson, Dubs or Algier. Not a single target yet.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to get much targets from Algier. Have you seen him? He's like a meatball. Maybe he's not that bad. I'm more of a meatball. I am a meatball.
Me too.
You know what? Like, shoot for the moon, man. Let's do it. Scotty Miller. Shoot for the moon. And if you want to go a little safer, you go Romeo. I think that Pierce might have lost his job to Doolin. And he'll be relegated to the 3rd. I think Paris Campbell is all the way down to 4 now. Stevenson, if they get behind, could be good. But Harris can catch passes too. So I'm going to shoot for the moon, man. I'm going to go with Scotty Miller. I just feel like I got a feeling about him today.
Yeah, I mean, Ramondre is kind of on my top of my list, but I can see what you're saying about the other guys. Ramondre, I'm just a super safe guy, though. That just makes me think if they're down and far behind, Stevenson could be somebody that they're going to be targeting, especially that their wide receivers are a little hurt. But Scotty Miller's a sexy play. Like he said, he beat up on Green Bay. So
yeah, your safe picks are Ramondre and Romeo. You're not playing Algier or Pierce in this spot. I would go Miller, though. I mean, it's like I'm all you've got type of play.
All right. Alan's going to be at the Green Bay and Bucks game today. Nice. That should be interesting. Throw something at Tom Brady for me, please.
My hope is that it's not 9-3.
Thanks, guys. Best football fantasy show on Facebook. Really appreciate that, man.
Thank
you. Share us everywhere if you can. I know it's tough to do, especially if you have other league mates, but we appreciate you too, David.
Yeah.
All right, Michael, with another one here. Kyle Pitts or TJ Hawk? This is an interesting one.
I'm going Pitts. I don't mind Hawkinson. I don't mind Hawkinson today in what should be a high-scoring game with Minnesota. But I'm going with Pitts because he got 3 targets last week, and that's all they heard is, why are you only throwing him the ball 3 times? The answer was Jalen Ramsey. I'm going with Pitts.
Yes, redemption game. I'm going to go with Pitts as well. I like Hawk, though. I think he's going to be sponge for hands today, especially going up against Minnesota. But I think Pitts has the better matchup. All right. I forgot to put this one earlier. She had texted me instead of actually putting it on the group. I told her group only, but going forward from here. Leanna, she has Barkley or CMC. She already started Chubb. That Saints defense tough with
I know
Carolina. That's what makes me nervous, and I like the Monday night matchup, but that's another. That's
it's very close.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with CMC, but it's so close. But I'm gonna go with CMC.
Yeah, I probably would go with CMC as well, just because of he has that potential. I mean, so does Barkley, but CMC just has that burst. All right. Put the other in flex. Start Eckler, Barkley, and Chubb. I don't know who she asked for a flex. I'm pretty sure she does, but I'll make sure she puts that on there. He's saying that the Giants are going to beat Dallas 17-9. Not out of the scope.
Sure.
I can see that. I can definitely see that. Darko says that's what I had set already based on his question. That is fantastic. And then Algier will be a league winner. I agree with that, man. I kind of find him as a sneaky play, too.
I loved him in the preseason. All we needed was for him to be active. And, he has a pretty good game today. He could probably punch one in if they get close. And they just need to keep Williams on the IR. And, what you're saying could be true.
All right, I got one for you. Damian Pierce or Tony Pollard?
Pierce,
100%.
Yeah,
Even a Monday night matchup.
Pierce is their number one. he just runs so aggressively, so strong. He's got burst. Um, the pass catching isn't there, but I'm just going to go with Pierce.
All right. And then I got another interesting one for wide receiver, Thielen or Mooney, who you were high on as well in the video saying redemption week.
I think Thielen gets a touchdown. Keep saying that. But he might just have 3 or 4 catches. The wind in Chicago I'll say Thielen.
Okay.
Because Mooney is more of a downfield guy. I still like our guesstimator this week. But in the running game is sound. It's a pretty good matchup against Houston. But if the wind causes problems, there's one thing that says, maybe we don't let Fields loose yet. It's going to be the wind. And I think that hurts Mooney in this situation. Could he get deep? Could he get a ball to him? Could he bust loose? Could he go over the middle and outrun everybody? 100%. But since I do think Thielen scores today, and I'm locking that in, it'll be safe. So I'll go Thielen.
All right. And one last one for me here. Dortch, Carter, Mooney, or Zeke in my flex spot.
Dortch, Carter, Mooney, or Zeke in your flex. Not Carter.
I will note that I have Kyler as my quarterback.
We'll go with the double BB.
That's what I have.
Go with the double BB.
All right. Alan with one here. If you could load up Lance or Trask cards, which one are you taking while they are cheap?
Well, I'm not sure Lance cards are cheap. They've dropped since his injury, but they're still not cheap. And for whatever reason, Trask cards aren't either. Has Trask shown enough for the Bucs to not go out and draft somebody else? But if anything happens to Brady this year, Trask cards are going to skyrocket because he's what they've got waiting. Lance is not going to play this season, so I would load up on Trask because he's got a shot to play this year if anything happens to Brady. Lance does not, and Lance's cards are more expensive right now than Trask. So Trask is who you pick out of these two.
I love the card question, bud.
Yeah, me too.
All right, Josue with the question here. I want Olave. Any of these players good to trade for him? Walker, Robinson, Khalil Herbert, Jeff Wilson Jr.
I would start at the bottom and move my way up. I'd start with Wilson, then I'd offer Khalil. Or actually, I might go Wilson, then Robinson, then Khalil, then Walker. But it's a flip-flop with those two. I think eventually Khalil. I mean, Montgomery's looked amazing this year, so I'm going to say that I definitely offer Wilson first.
I'm kind of thinking Robinson just because of name value. And they, I think, will have very similar production, especially that they're throwing the ball as much as they are in New Orleans. But I mean, start from the bottom. I agree. Start from the bottom. But I don't know. I think just because of name value in itself.
Yeah.
All right. Is Pickett worth a stash?
In fantasy or in cards?
In cards, yes.
Well, if you're talking about cards, I'm going to say that the answer right now is no.
Really? Why?
Here's why. Because there's only one product out, Gold Standard, where they're in an NFL uniform, and it's not worth stashing players in a college uniform. You don't want his legacy rookie or any of that college junk. You don't want it. So Gold Standard is all there is, and all those prices are way too high right now. Gold Standard never holds value. But if you get a nice Pickett, and they're too expensive right now anyways, you just have to get lucky in a break or in a pack or a box that you buy. But as far as fantasy, I would think so. The fans want Trubisky gone. He didn't look amazing last week. So I think I had said like week 6, if Trubisky doesn't do it, I had faith in Trubisky. So I think, we're heading towards week 4 for Pittsburgh. So I would say, yeah, I mean, you could stash them. They got the weapons.
I know in dynasty leagues he's 100% worth the
No,
stash. Yeah, I
100%
mean, yeah,
dynasty.
but
Yeah.
I mean, right now, somebody else that I'm paying attention to is Willis as well. Just because of what Tannehill's going. Between those two, I'd probably want Pickett ahead of Willis, but Willis gives you the legs at least.
You want a stash for cards, Alan? I hit his RPA the other day. I was chasing him. The team was so cheap. It's Sam Howell for the Commanders. Wentz isn't going to make it through a season, and Howell looked amazing in the preseason. And nobody in the card world is looking at him or going after him. If you can get the Commanders cheap in a break, or if you're in a dynasty league or a super flex, and you just scoop Sam Howell and just sit him somewhere on a taxi squad or at the bottom of your bench. I think he's a play because they have a ton of good weapons. Wentz is not built to last. So I think Sam Howell is a card and fantasy stash at the moment.
All right. With how bad Tanny has been, do we see Willis getting a start this year? Kind of just
I
going back
do.
to what we were just
I
talking about.
do.
I agree. I think it's actually going to be sooner than later.
He looked
But-
terrible though when he came in against Buffalo, but you know
Against
that's
Buffalo, man.
right. Against Buffalo, the way the game was going, middle of the game on the road, like yeah. So
All right. There was another question that I know I was looking at. Ertz or Irv Smith? Ertz will probably be more than likely covered by Wagner, I would assume.
yeah, I would probably go Irv. I do
Irv?
think that Ertz, continue to be involved. I'm just going to go with youth. What do you want? You want me to pick something else? You want me to switch it? I'm going to switch this one. So. All right. Which one do you want?
I was kind of thinking Irv Smith as well. I don't know. For some reason, the Cardinals' offense is just not there. I mean, I know we saw the fourth quarter comeback and all that stuff. We had mentioned Kyler running around, and it's just a tough matchup. That defense, no matter what. I agree. I think it's a lighter matchup against Detroit. All right. Who takes Henry's spot? He's on the decline.
I think he's going to have a big day today. But, I mean, Hassan Haskins looked okay. Hilliard is back, though. I think that I don't think that they're done with Henry. I think you've got to wait at least 3 more years or so for him to completely fall off, and they'll draft somebody by then.
All right, Marty, with the question here. I like the Colts defense for the season. I am in a league with limited free agent pickups, praying that they're okay today. Thoughts on the Colts D?
With Leonard out and against the Chiefs today, I'm not liking them, but this is the NFL and the entire world, gambling, fantasy, etc., is on the Chiefs today and down on the Colts, and rightly so. Would not surprise me if the Colts D showed up and did something today, but I don't like them. I wouldn't play them if I didn't have to. I don't know what's available on your waiver wire. But if you only have limited picks and you want to just stick with them, then you kind of have no choice. But if like Cincinnati or Dallas is for whatever reason sitting out there, I would go with one of those today. But if you like the Colts defense for the season and think once they get back to full strength and the offense gets going, then you probably should just stick with them, because they do have some easier matchups than what they have today.
All right. Through 2 weeks, who's the Rookie of the Year leader? London or maybe Pierce?
I'd say probably London has it, right, at this point.
I would think so. Dotson, I would think, would be up there.
Yeah.
I know you weren't high on Dotson today and make it more of a scary Terry game, but he's looked pretty good.
I mean, he's had the 3 touchdowns, but he doesn't have that many catches or targets. London is their wide receiver 1. I think that is probably London through 2 weeks. I think some things will change today. I think Pierce is going to have a big game.
If Garrett Wilson continues on the trend that he had last week, that could be somebody else.
I'd actually put him
talking.
second. I'd say London, Wilson, and then Dotson so far. And Olave, I think, is going to have a nice day today, either today or next Sunday. So it's going to be interesting, but I'd go with London.
All right. Any other questions, guys and gals? Survey says
nope. All right. So,
well, we appreciate you guys. Remember, always look for those hashtags, answers by guess and answers by guess, fantasy football, ABGFF. Guess, final thoughts.
Search for us on YouTube using quotes. Put the answer by guess inside. That's how you find us. That's how you subscribe. That's how you hit the notifications bell so that you get notified whenever we post those weekly videos. If you're not watching them, watch them. And the theme throughout them this week was, I think that some tight ends are going to show up for once. And I think that your studs are going to show up for once. So after this week, if you've got 3 duds out of your studs, then we can adjust. But I think that today's the day where you get paid off for your investments in those early rounds.
All right, a couple more things just came in. Let's go Giants. I will just let Alan go with that one. And then John with a question: Darrell Henderson, Bryce Hall, or Khalil Herbert PPR?
Breece Hall, I throw a dart with him today. Henderson's last for me on this list. I know that they've got a good matchup. I just don't trust him. I think Akers is going to have a better game. I think he's going to be much more used. I think Hall is ascending above Carter. I think Herbert should ascend over Montgomery, but Montgomery's looked so good that that's yet to happen. So I'm going to go with the upside. I'm going to go with Breece Hall as my pick.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you on that one. And game script, if you think about it, the way they're talking about Cincinnati moving the ball, Breece is going to be needed a lot more than probably the other guys. Mm-hmm. All right, guys. Remember, like us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and Patreon. We appreciate you all.
You're welcome. Yeah, and I got to get going more TikTok videos. I had like a couple in the preseason, then I get sidetracked with stuff. But I want to do that. And it's in my mind, but I keep forgetting because
life, man.
I'm old.
Life gets busy, but we appreciate you all. Remember, let's try to get those members up in Facebook. Let's get those subscribes on TikTok. We appreciate you.
Yeah. Good luck to everybody. Have a good one.
All right. Bye.